Now, managed portfolio services might not sound like the most exciting theme within investing, but there are some very interesting trends, and keeping an eye on them is Tom Mills from our manager research team. He joins me now. Tom, thanks so much for your time today. Just for the uninitiated, what is a managed portfolio service and how does it work?
Hi, Ollie. So managed portfolio service is it's an investment portfolio that's provided by a wealth manager or an advisor, and it provides professional investment services to investors. And it's typically a multi-asset proposition. It's managed by a discretionary fund manager who provides asset allocation, fund selection, and execution on platforms.
Sure. And let's just go into some recent research that you've done. What's the research telling you and investors about the way that managed portfolio services are being constructed and used in terms of active and passive?
Yeah, so we have a proprietary database, the Morningstar UK Managed Portfolio Database, that contains now over 1,300 UK managed portfolios. So that gives us some pretty good insights into trends in the UK managed portfolio space. One takeaway, I guess, is that there's been a bit of a slowdown in launches recently, but that follows in the context of a huge number of launches between around 2018 and 2022. So it's a relatively sort of crowded field at the moment, but yeah, we've seen a bit of a slowdown in new launches, and that probably just reflects the fact that a lot of providers will have launched their offerings to the market by now.
Sure, and if I'm not incorrect, there's more reliance on passives in building those strategies. That's right.
That's another trend that we have seen. So we've seen greater use of passive underlying holdings. So we're seeing a greater proportion of portfolios that are defined as being passive by their providers. But when we look through into the portfolios of all managed portfolios, we also see an increase in the use of passive funds or passive building blocks in active blended portfolios as well as obviously the passive options.
Sure. And just finally then, you mentioned that perhaps on the passive side, it's getting a bit of a crowded space because of, that trend. Tell me a little bit more about the active side. Active still remains a big part of this, doesn't it?
Yes, although it's reducing, the proportion of portfolios that use active funds is still close to half of the database. If we look at the definition of the providers, obviously some of those might use passive funds to varying extents. So that's the look through that we have in our database allows users to actually look and quantify the content of passive and active funds in every managed portfolio. So yes, clearly there is still a role for both active and passive portfolios.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Tom. For more on manager research and indeed managed portfolio service research, check out any of Morningstar's editorial websites internationally. Until next time, my thanks again to Tom. I've been Ollie Smith for Morningstar.